Is Airbnb still worth it as a property investment? Should we be transitioning our standard residential properties and flipping it? You know, interest rates have been rising. Cash flow is one of the tightest things that investors need to think about right now. Should we just be chucking our properties on Airbnb? There's new regulations that have come in for Airbnb that we need to be thinking about, but how bad are they? One of them is Victoria has a 7.5% levy, right? Holy crap, that's terrible. Well, it's actually not on the person that owns the Airbnb, it's actually just on the person that is using the B&B. So is that messing with things? I don't know the answer to those questions. We have the Oz property portfolio. We're trying to build a passive income to $150,000. So we need to explore these things. So we have on tonight Meredith Cowley of Custom B&B, and she's an absolute weapon. We had her on 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, talking about this exact topic, Airbnb. So we are going to unpack in depth, is Airbnb worth it for property investors? Should this be what we're thinking about? How much extra cash flow are we going to get? And is it what we should be doing? Hey everyone, my name is Joe Tucker, and together with Jeff Miles, we created Oz Property Investors. It's Australia's largest investment community. You already are a part of it. You already know how great this show is. Each week we interview top property experts and we try and unpack and get to the bottom of how do we become better property investors? How do we make more money? How do we make more revenue? How do we make more capital growth so that we can better ourselves? Each week we've got those people there for you, and tonight is all about revenue growing and expense saving and getting the maximizing through Airbnb. Let's jump in. Let's go. Let's see if it's worthwhile. What has changed in the Airbnb space, and is it still worth it as an investor? How do you think about that?
Yeah. Okay. So of course it's worth it for an investor because you just adjust to the new environment, right? You know, there's regulations that are coming, and regulations are a good thing because they've put some boundaries and perimeters and things and try and professionalize the industry. It's a fairly new industry, so it professionalizes the industry a little bit and creates a decent standard for guests and for owners and for homeowners around expectations of property managers. So there's that part that is like there's some regulations that are good. Then there's
I was thinking charging in Victoria, they're charging a 7.5% levy. I don't know how that makes the quality of the asset better. So there are some good rules.
But that levy goes to the guests.
This is it.
The owners don't pay that, right? So if it's a principal place of residence, you don't have to worry about the levy anyway. So if you go away for 12 months, it's your PPOR still. If you have days of longer than 28 days, you then don't have to pay it either. So you could go hard for those 28-day stays and that kind of thing. But the reality is the guest pays it, not the owner, not the hosts. And look, we haven't really seen, it's been here for, what are we up to? June, 6 months. We haven't seen a heap of Airbnbs suddenly being taken out of the market, and a whole bunch of them now enter the long-term rental market. People are still coming to say we haven't seen a huge dip in our in our occupancy. What we do see is changes in, like we feel the crunch of cost of living for sure. There's definitely the softening in prices. People aren't staying for as long. Their behavior is a bit different, so they're booking more last minute, shorter periods of time. But we're still getting the 3 nights and 2 nights here, not the 5 nights and stuff. So people aren't going for as longer breaks.
State by state of what are some of the things we need to think about? Because, like, for instance, Victoria have this levy that you need to think about. They've got a 7.5% levy, which is great. You kind of covered that off. It's not really relevant. It's more relevant on the demand side of things rather than it is it's not costing you as anybody, but it does detract a little bit from people wanting to come. What are some of the other rules around the states that we should be aware of?
Yeah, look, there's the cap. It's the cap in New South Wales is the other one. Look, I'm not particularly familiar with South Australia and Western Australia because I don't operate there,
Yep.
and haven't sort of dug into there. But and New South Wales, it's got the 90-day cap, and they're trying to get down to 60-day night stays in Byron Bay. That's certainly made the news a lot. And in other areas like Sydney and a couple of other locations, it's 180-day night cap. And look,
that means
really
over the year, right?
yeah, so you can have people stay for a month and that doesn't contribute to your 180-day cap. So you just need to be strategic how you open up and close your calendar. Make sure you get and you have to have a really good revenue and pricing strategy to manage it. So there are thriving properties and thriving short-term rentals in New South Wales. So it is definitely viable. It's just you just need to be really strategic about your pricing strategy. So you pump up, on those peak weekends when you're going to get all your bookings, peak periods, you have your high prices, you get them all booked out. And if you've hit 180 days or you're really close to it, then you open up your less popular, your mid-weeks in the middle of winter down in Bateman's Bay. You might open that up for a booking, or you only make it available for a month's time. So you just got to be a bit strategic.
But also the money's made on the weekends, right? And there would be, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and like what's that? 4 times 52, like that's 208 days. So let's say they don't stay the Monday, 180 days is a shitload. Like that's a lot of stays.
Right. School holidays and the weekends,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be, it's like you hear 100, oh my gosh, there's a massive cap on it. It's like, well, yeah, there is, but are you actually going to book? You're not going to book Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I guess when you're starting doing 30, 60, 90, 120 day, like 30-day stays, but then you're saying that that's not included as soon as it goes a 30-day stay. It'd be so frustrating having a 25-day stay or a 26-day stay currently.
Yeah. Can you please just take 3 more days? Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a normal, everyday mum and dad investor, is there still opportunity for us to just to do something? Like, can I make money from this without having without all the work? I don't want to do all the work. Sorry.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, yes, you can. Absolutely. Will every property work? No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
Do you need to go and do your research? Yes. You need to use tools. Go and put your property into a software like AirDNA. It's called AirDNA. You use their cool tool called Rentalizer, and it'll spit out what your gross income can be, what your occupancy can be, what your average daily rate can be. But what you've got to do is dig into the comparable properties and check that there are comparable properties. Check there's comparable properties that are have been operating for more than 12 months, that are open for 365 days or close to a year. To then go, right, okay, these and find comparable properties that can prove that your type of property can perform a similar way. And then have a look. You can have a look at what amenities do they have that do really well. 100% of them have got air conditioning and Wi-Fi, or the top performers have got pools and heated pools. So you can have a look at what performs really well in that area, and then that'll give you a broad picture. Go, radio, my property is like these or similar to these, and I think that they can achieve this amount gross income. And then you've got to know the numbers about the costs and the expenses, and if you're going to pay somebody to manage it for you, factor that in as well. And I mean, we've got a really broad brushstroke kind of, if the owner can net, if they've got property management, they've got their utilities all turned on, they've paid Airbnb fees, Airbnb charges, they get about 52% of the gross back, that net. So, say the gross is, say 60,000 a year, they'll get about 52% of that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. 32 grand, 30 grand back. Well, let's go down this path of how much does it let's say we want to do it, right? What are the setup costs? What should we be thinking about for the setup? Is it just a couch and a fridge? Are there any other things that we need to, like, I want to say, I'm coming, I want to do it. We're going to set up an Airbnb. We're going to make it happen because, $500 a week I can get more than $500. I can get $900 a week instead of $500 a week. And that times by 52 is a pretty big deal. So I'm interested in it, but what are my upfronts going to be? What should I be thinking about?
So you got to turn on your internet. You got to furnish it. So if say it's a 1-bedroom unit, maybe there's 12 grand to furnish that thing decently.
12.
There's no, internet. Set your internet up. Turn on your utilities. You may get a property management company that has an onboarding fee, and so they will. And you have photography. Definitely get professional photos. Highly recommended. Don't muck around with that.
And is there a specific, like, I see the real estate photography, is there like a Airbnb photography? Like, is there a better way to take photos in an Airbnb than there is a standard resi property?
Oh, look, resi, there's some quirks and slight differences. Absolutely. Like, I like to put, the glasses of wine, like set up a little vinaigrette about, how someone could use the property when they come to stay. Don't put things in there that they can't use when they're in there. But, you need to, like, we provide a bottle of wine as a guest gift. And so we'll have that in there. But we don't bring in all this beautiful stuff that they'll never get, for the pictures that they'll never get to see. Make it real, make it honest, make it attractive. And, get a good hero shot, because your first 5 photos are what's going to sell your property. And, you need to have, make sure you can get the beautiful first 5 photos that kind of really, stop people scrolling and stop to book at your property. It could be the outside, depending on where you are. So if you're near the ocean, of course, you probably want an ocean. If you've got a view, show the view. And if you're near, I don't know, say you're near, you're in Albert Park in Melbourne, and you're going to be there for the Formula, you get Formula One views, like tell everybody about that, right? Tell people where you are and what you've got to offer.
Right, so great. Yeah.
Anyway, so sorry, that's off the track. So costs, you might have some onboarding fees. There's no cost to start up with Airbnb. You can list your property. You'll have to turn your utilities on. And then your costs will start when guests move in. Apart from your setup costs of accommodation, furniture and photography.
Yeah, that's it. So furniture, so about 10 to 15 on furniture, microwave, fridge.
When I did my 2-bedder unit, I did about 17.
17. Okay, cool.
That was in Darwin, so stuff can be pricey.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So 7. So yeah. Okay. So 10 to 20, somewhere in between there, and then this onboarding fee. What's that typically cost?
So some property managers, not us, can do an onboarding fee, because it takes a lot of time for us to set up a property, and we create house manuals for you, and we optimize we coordinate all that stuff. We work with you about, give you all the checklists. And the other thing, sorry, I forgot, you have to get your insurance. You have to pay, but you've got to pay insurance anyway, landlord insurance, but make sure you get short-term rental specific insurance.
Oh, how much more is that?
No, not heaps more.
Yeah, just
maybe much more.
Okay, so initial setup cost, we should be thinking around 10 to 20 grand. So, 12 to 20 grand, somewhere around there, if we're to establish it. What are some of the challenges that we will face and we need to think about as a property investor who's thinking about going down the Airbnb route? Like, how should we think about this?
If your property manager's not performing, then you're not going to be getting, and your reviews start to go down. it's going to impact your revenue. So that's a critical part. You need to be, whilst you don't have to do anything on the day-to-day management, guest communication, any of that kind of stuff, like have a good relationship with them and ask questions and check it every 3 months, like how we're going and how are my reviews going. You need to have a look at the numbers, like is it actually performing? And you need to be prepared to take the ebbs and flows. This is a pretty critical one, actually. And I think this is where investors who are really stressed about the money, because it's like really fine line for them, it's hard to do Airbnb because of the ebbs and flows of the income. You need to have a 12-month period to see that full ebb and flow and be able to get all the money in the peak times and have it for the slow times. If you need consistent income, then it's not going to be ideal for you. But if you're not super stressed, it's definitely something you can take a plunge with.
Okay, cool. So characteristic wise from a property, is there any I guess like underrated locations or characteristics or things that we need to think about, like universities, like FIFO, hospitals? I can imagine hospitals are the best place for an Airbnb, because you go to a hospital, you don't know if you're going to be there for 5 minutes or 5 weeks at times. But is there any kind of like things like that that we should optimize for?
Yeah, I mean, I think I was talking about before, like, those the multiple reasons for someone to stay. So anywhere where it's got a view, or it's near some water, or or it's near an attraction, because then you get both employees coming to stay as well as holiday makers coming to stay. Not the super highly seasonal places, but I wouldn't go, the fly in, fly out workers stuff it's ad hoc. It's regional. It's just, I wouldn't be doing it. But if like for the like Harvey Bay I'm in that market, so I kind of understand it a bit better. But there's definitely people coming up, like doctors and insurance, they're good. The interesting there, it's insurance bookings is another space I think that is really is really interesting space. So and they're interesting. We get a lot of requests for, because they're sort of in the people who are needing insurance places to stay for insurance reasons because something's happened in their house. So they're in the suburbs, and so they're not in the town centre, or they're in the slightly suburbs.
Townsville, for instance, right? Like flooded a couple of months back, 6 months back, maybe 5 months back. So of course, those people would all now have to stay somewhere for 3-6 months until the insurance. Okay.
Harvey Bay was the same, right? So heaps. Right. So they're great. They're awesome bookings, 3 month, stays, month stays, that sort of stuff. But what I see is if you can make it pet friendly, quick win. Like it's a huge, much bigger market. Everyone's got their dog, their cat, their budgie. So if you can be pet friendly, that's great. The other sort of market you can tap into, and this is about the house product rather than the location, is, can it be step-free? Can it have a wider door? Particularly if you're building anything, think about these things, because it is a completely underserviced market, the accessibility market. So not just wheelchairs and fully, hoist. You don't have to do the full hoist, but just a step-free shower, have a wide door and a wide entrance, have good lighting. Like these are just simple things that you can do, or when you're doing a renovation, to think about that you can. It totally expands your market, because we've got an aging population. And we've got, we often get asks for, have you got a step-free accommodation? So, they're good things. Step-free.
Yeah.
Step-free showers, step-free entry.
Like, I guess if we're looking like as a property investor, we're going out there, I've not considered too much about steps. Like obviously for units and things, it's great to be on the bottom floor, and then it's also great to be on the top floor if you've got views.
Or have a lift.
But
Yeah.
oh yeah, you have a lift. Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
Have a lift.
Yeah, but
I mean, I know that
level
makes it more expensive for your body corporate, but yeah, you'll have more guests because you've got a lift than stairs.
Oh,
and you want the lift because you want the view on the top floor. Right.
Nice. Okay.
So just back to accessibility, like you can do simple, even if you've got your property now, you can do simple things to make it accessible by putting little rubber ramps down, and they're quick wins. You can put, and family friendly are quick wins. So have an enclosed backyard if you've got a house. Have a porta cot and have a high chair, that kind of stuff. I would say if you are looking for a property in the CBD, units are amazing. They are. Do something with a car park. A property with a car park, unit with a car park will always get booked over a property without one, because people are driving in, they want to park their car for free and then jump on all the public transport.
Yeah, Jesus. You
also,
really have to think.
Your cleaner has got nowhere to park and they will potentially not turn up if they haven't got anywhere to park, or they'll charge you more to cover the cost of their parking. So I find we're reluctant to take on properties to manage that don't have car parkings in the CBD, because it's just such a challenge and just such a deterrent.
Wow.